Round and round they gnome. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, March the 7th, 2022, vlog number 255, and it is day 727 of COVID. So let's get right into what I've been working on. So it is March, of course, as we well know, and in March we have St. Paddy's Day. Now, I am not Irish or Irish background, but, you know, you get into the spirit of things. And I had found this very cute, and let me put it up here, this very cute gnome, Irish gnome applique, as it's called. I'll just blow it up here a little bit for you. I thought he was really quite cute. And he was an impulse buy because I was ordering from a place online, some fabric and some other things, and I happened to see this, and I thought, yeah, since I'm into gnomes, I will grab him. So I did. Now, I don't do a lot of applique. I kind of shy away from it, but I don't know why I do shy away from it, because I kind of do like doing it. So I got this guy out. I thought, well, you know, I don't have anything for my front door, so I'll make a little banner. So that's what I did with him, as you can see right here. And here it is hanging on my front door. And I just built around him. Now, I had some of this green, orange, and yellow fabrics that are really bright. And I do like bright colors, but normally I wouldn't put these together into something. But because most of these colors were already in the gnome, I thought I'd go ahead and do that. So I made some flying geese and put in some corner blocks and put that around him, and then extended it a little further. I got a little fancy here with the way that I designed the border that goes around. And in my stash, and all of this was made from pretty much scraps, but in my stash I had this fabric that you see as the binding, and it's perfect. It picks up the colors I have in here, and it makes it look really interesting, and I think it finishes off quite nicely. I did quilt it on my domestic machine because really, why put something this small on your long arm? And I used ruler foot quilting, and I'm really proud of how this ruler foot quilting turned out on here. I am getting better at that kind of thing. So you can see I just did simple straight lines in the triangles and in the square, and it's fairly dense. I think they're about 1/4 of an inch apart from each other, and just went around like in a spiral. And in the outside borders, I just used my walking foot and did a continuous wavy line all the way around the outside. So overall, I think it looks pretty good, and it's now hanging on my front doors, and it will until the end of March. I'm getting really into this idea of hanging things out on my front doors that I make. So I should take a look for maybe another applique pattern that I could do a similar thing with, but has more of a spring theme for April. So the next thing that I was working on is this. Now, this is not a complicated quilt. It is based upon this part here, which is a panel. And this is the one, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this because I have an update on this store that I got this pattern from. And this is the Strong and Free pattern using the 10th anniversary O Canada collection fabrics from Northcott. And I had a hell of a time, as you know, getting my hands on this pattern. But I finally did, and I was excited to put it together. Well, had some problems with it. The instructions were not good. They really needed to have this pattern tested out because they told you to cut strips in a certain length, and when it came to putting it together, they didn't mention those lengths. They mentioned a different length. For example, some of these longer pieces were supposed to be 36.5 inches long, but when you got to the assembly instructions, they said that you needed to use the 38.5 inch strips. There weren't any 38.5 inch strips, according to their cutting. Also, the other strips that go on top of this to give this gradiated look were wrong too. Everything seemed to be out by 2 inches. Now, there were two sizes of quilts, but I double checked all of that. I triple checked the whole bit. So I decided the heck with the instructions. I'm just going to go ahead and build it on my own based upon the diagrams and pictures they had in the pattern. And that's what I did. So I got it all together yesterday and thought, hey, this is great. I'll be able to start, get it up on Lucy today and start quilting it. Except when I laid it out, I realized I made a mistake. Over here, see this side, how these pieces go? See how these pieces go? It's wrong. I got those flipped. This strip should be here. This strip should be here. So guess what I'm doing this morning after I finish my vlog? I'm ripping this out. So I've got 1 seam, 2 seams, 3 seams to rip out. So essentially, I'm redoing this whole section of the quilt. Live and learn, but that's why I call myself an idiot quilter. That had nothing to do with the pattern. That had to do with me. I got things flipped around. Have I mentioned I am geometrically challenged? Because I definitely am. Okay, so that takes us to the channel of the week, YouTube channel of the week. This one is if you are a traveler or wish we could be traveling much more freely than we have in the past 2 years. And I'm sure that for many people who travel to Europe, Paris is one of their destinations. Well, I happened to come across by accident, as I often do when it comes to YouTube channels, this one called Les Frenchies. And this is a couple who talk a lot about their traveling in France. And what caught my eye was they had one video about 5 or 6 things you should be aware of if you're in Paris. And I have been to Paris several times. So this caught my attention and I watched it. And I think it's worth sharing with you. So here's my review of the YouTube channel of the week, Les Frenchies. This week's YouTube channel of the week is for those of you who like to travel and maybe for those of you that have thought about traveling to Paris. When it's safe to do so, of course. Now, I have been to Paris a couple of times in my life, and yes, the first time I went to Paris, I was absolutely mystified with the whole place. It really is the city of love. At least that's the way it felt on my first trip. On about my third trip to Paris, which was just a day trip because we were in London and we took the Channel train across to Paris for the day. My feelings about Paris were a little bit mixed that day. I was actually a little bit afraid in walking the streets of Paris. The feel was totally different. Now, this is a few years ago now. Well, not that many years ago. It was pre-COVID time when we did that trip. But I came across the other day this YouTube channel called Les Frenchies, which talks all about life in, France, French, things like food. If you see here, if I pull it down a little bit, you can see 10 best street food eating, 12 most iconic French desserts, all kinds of things about food. But there's other things too, like backstage at Moulin Rouge, our top 10 most romantic places in Paris. So this is done by a couple of people, although they show 3. That's interesting. All about Paris. So if you are planning a trip in the future to Paris, you might want to check this out to get a feel for it. The one video that I watched that I really liked, and I'll just see if I can find it, was the one where they talked about, not sure where it is located now, but it was one about the things to beware of, 9 scams on the streets. There it is. Top 9 scams, Paris' biggest tourist scams. This was, I found really interesting because at the time that we went to Paris, we did, as soon as we got off the train to Paris, or trying to get into the subway from, I think we were at the airport, we got ripped off. Our subway ticket for that, the train ticket. A guy, friendly guy, young guy, tried to help us with our suitcases through the turnstiles, and when he did that, you put your ticket in on one side and it comes out the other side. He jumped the turnstile, grabbed the ticket, took off. It could have been worse. It cost us I forget what it cost at the time for that ticket. It wasn't a lot of money, but nevertheless felt really stupid that, you're being very cautious. We were seasoned travelers and we got ripped off. So something like this, I think you would find very helpful. So if you're thinking about going to Paris, or you're just interested in Paris or in French culture, then I would check out Les Frenchies. So the link for Les Frenchies is in the show notes below. There is a link for Stephen and Walter Live. Stephen and Walter Live, which is not unusual, was all over the place as well. I really hope people don't mind that, because our philosophy of putting up Stephen and Walter Live is simply to be chatterboxes, just to talk about things that come to mind as they come to mind. And we also base our discussion upon things that people might say in the comments section of the live as well. So anyways, we were all over the place, and there's a link for that. There is a link for Idiot Quilter episode 156, where I talk about some of my other projects and some upcoming projects, some very expensive rulers that I've ordered to do a mariner's compass with. And there is a Idiot Quilter presentation. Musings again. I didn't have an interview this past week, but I have one coming up this week, a really exciting one. And if you want to know more about that, do tune in to the Idiot Quilter tomorrow to find out what that is. It actually may go up onto YouTube later today. But the one that I am mentioning right now that's linked in the show notes is a musing about being retired, because I am retired. And a lot of people sometimes get really frightened of the fact of retiring because they're not sure what they'll do with themselves. They think they'll be bored. I can tell you this, at least for me, I'm never bored. I love retirement. Best years of my life. And I've been retired for 10 years now. It's hard to believe, yeah. Okay, so that takes me to looking out my window. And I'm just going to show you what I'm seeing this morning. And I took this picture at 6:43. The days are getting a little longer. So here you go. Again, you see, we still have snow, but it's dirty snow. It's icy snow. We had rain actually on early Saturday morning, and it was really, really warm yesterday. I think it got up to about 13 degrees C. So, oh my God, it's almost shorts weather. Yeah, I don't like it when snow looks like this. However, the flip side of that means that maybe spring is coming, because this stuff is starting to melt and go far, far away, and I'll be glad to see the end of it. But don't get your hopes up too soon for an early spring, because this is only the first real week into March. And yeah, we could have several snowstorms yet, and right into April. So, no sense getting yourself all excited about this until, we can actually go outside in our shorts. So, and that takes me then to, what does that take me to? Oh yeah, what's pissing me off this week? Oh, it has been a week. It's been a week for a lot of things. I'm going to talk about these other things, but I had a lot of online events this past week. And, but before I even talk about those, let's talk about what I'm pissed off at. And I'll tell you right now, it's all about customer service again. Now, you've heard me talk about customer service before, and I don't know, is it just me? Do they see me coming and decide they're going to hate me and give me bad customer service? I don't know, but it always happens to me. So let's start with the what I call the good, bad, and the ugly. We're going to start with the ugly. Okay, first of all, my internet provider, my email provider, anything based in the ether out there is by Bell Canada. In Canada, we have only really two major providers of internet services, and that's Bell Canada and Rogers. It's a love-hate relationship between all of these and with their customers, because we love to hate them because they are despicable. Both companies are despicable when it comes to customer service. Now, I know I'm going to get emails about this or comments about this. People are going to say, I'm with Rogers. I absolutely love them. They're great. I'm with Bell. I absolutely love them. They're great. But for everyone that has a good comment about either one of these two companies, there's about 10 more people who have had bad experiences, and I am one of them. Now, I will say for Bell, I've been with them for many, many, many years. I used to be with Rogers. I dropped them like a hot potato because they were worse at one point than Bell. So I picked the lesser of two evils, you might say. But I've been with Bell for a long time. And for the last little while, I have had good internet connection, no problems. And then, just for no reason at all, out of the blue, earlier last week, I went into my email as I usually do, and I was getting this strange message coming up frequently saying there's been too many attempts to basically log into your Bell email. Please wait 30 minutes. I went, huh? And retry again. Huh? What's going on? Now, the first thing that went through my mind is, oh God, someone's trying to get into my email account and maybe I have a virus. So now I have a really good virus checking program that I pay for every year on a subscription and a substantial amount of money called AVG. They're a very reputable company. They're very good. So it scans constantly in the background on my computer. It is constantly scanning to, eliminate threats that might come along. But you can also do a really deep scan. So I did a really deep scan. Came up, nothing. Everything was clean. Good. And I am very cautious about, going to or opening emails that come from people I don't know. I get a lot of those actually, and I don't open them. If I don't recognize the name, I don't open attachments. Or if they don't write me a message that, says to me, clearly identifies who they are for me. Similarly, I try to stay away from websites that, might be phishing you and things like that. But you can try everything you want. You can be as cautious as you want, and you can still get a virus. It's fairly easy. We don't put a mask on our computers, to protect us from these viruses, do we? So anyways, I did that. It found nothing. So I use a third-party client software for looking at my email. I've been using this program for years. I've been using it for so long. I've been using it since the 90s. That's how long. They don't even manufacture this one anymore, and it's called Eudora. Now, why do I use this old chestnut? Well, it's like teaching an old dog new tricks. I guess I'm comfortable with it. I know all the ins and outs of it and the whole bit, and it has served me well. So that's why I've used it. Now, Walter does not use any of that. He goes right online, right to the website, the whole bit. He does all of his emails and everything through the cloud and that kind of thing. And, that's the modern way to do things, isn't it? But like I said, I'm an old dog. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go to the actual website that my email client feeds into and check it out there. So I went there and it has the same message, except the difference was it says, give it 10 minutes and then retry. So I did. I retried. I got in. Okay, fine. Thought it was a one-off, maybe. No, it wasn't. Because throughout the rest of that day, every time I want to get into my email, either through Eudora or directly on the website, I was getting that message. So I'm getting worried now. I'm figuring, okay, something's happening. My email account is under attack. And if my email account is under attack by some hackers that, have gotten a whole list of people's emails, because they do, and they're trying to break my password and get into it, and they're probably doing it to others, I better give Bell a call. So I don't like to call them directly. I use their chat mode. Long story short, because it is a long story and you'll be here till tomorrow if I go into all the details, I talked to somebody on there. They gave me some tips, things to try. They did sort of work once, didn't work again. Went on again, got a different person, told them this whole problem. They made some more of the same suggestions. I told them I tried those. Those didn't work. They said they were going to put in a service ticket to have a technician give me a call, and they would get in contact with me in 2 to 4 hours. They did not. I had to contact them about 7 hours later. This time I went through the phone instead of through chat. So I got a lovely person called Mary. I'm being facetious. Mary was a bitch. There was no two ways about it. Now, here's what's ironic. Bell has right in their statement when you first connect via chat, how can I give you excellent service today? Okay, you maybe should not be telling me something you are not going to deliver here. So I had my little discussion with Mary. It went along the same lines as the other two people I had contacted. She says, okay, well, I see you have a service ticket here. There will be somebody in contact with you within 24 to 48 hours. Wow, before it was 2 to 4 hours, now it's 24 to 48. And I said that to her, well, Mary, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. I was very polite. I was very polite to Mary. Mary was not so polite. So the short end of this story is this. I want to speak to somebody above Mary who could possibly have more knowledge and could help me, because Mary's reading from a script. And if you ask something that's not on that script, they don't know what to do. And also, Mary had a slight accent, which in this country, everybody has a slight accent, so that's not a biggie. But that's usually a sign to me that I am not talking to somebody in Canada, okay? Because that's what these companies do, right? They farm it out. So I asked her, I said, by the way, is Mary your real name? That's all I said, because if I needed to file a complaint, and they always ask you to review the service after you get off one of these lines, I wanted to have that person's real name. Because they basically have the computer that generates names on there. And Mary just seemed too simple, too North American, too common. She got really PO'd at me and starts yelling at me. That is the name my mother gave me. What's wrong with my name? Blah, blah. Wouldn't shut up. Just kept going on this long tirade of speech. I finally did have to interrupt her because she wasn't slowing down anytime soon. And I said, sorry, Mary. Okay, just connect me to, well, the tech are going to tell you the same thing I've told you. And at one point she told me there was nobody above her. Okay, attitude. Finally, I got Mary calmed down, and she supposedly was connecting me to somebody in technical support. Yeah, and then promptly hung up on me. She did call me back and say, lost the line. She must have thought better of it after she hung up on me, because I'm pretty sure she hung up on me. And so I'm on the line. She says, do you still want to talk to technical support? Yes, I would. Please. Thank you, Mary. And she was connecting me, and I sat on the line for a few minutes, and then it went dead. And so I figured I give up then. Well, the next day, I did get a call from a technical person. And this person couldn't have been nicer. The exact opposite to Mary. Obviously, he knew what he was talking about. He told me a few things that made absolute sense to me. And I tried those, and things are working better. But this is an example now of the other side of the coin of great service, because he said to me, would you like me to contact you tomorrow? This was Friday when he contacted me. Contact me on Saturday to see how things were working out with the things that he suggested that I do and everything. I said, that would be great, but I'm busy on Saturday. How about we leave it for over the weekend so I can really test it out? And then if you could give me a call on Monday, that would be great. And he says, I most certainly can. And he said, what time is good for you? He says, I get into work at 11 o'clock. When's a good time for you? And I said, well, if you want to get it out of the way first thing in the morning, 11 o'clock would be fine for me. And he said, okay, I'm putting it in my calendar right now. And he says, I will contact you at 11 o'clock on Monday. So that's today, and we will see what happens with that. Have I been having more problems with it? Yes. And some problems that I didn't even realize that I was having problems with that I want to bring up to him since he's the techie. I think the bottom line is there is something wrong with my modem. I think. I don't know for sure. But I'm going to mention this to Jim, that's his name, Jim, my buddy Jim at Bell, and see what he tells me. But there you go. You can get good customer service, but it depends on the people that are hired, for one thing, and their training as well. And that onus is all on the company, no matter who the company is, But for Mary, well, I have some words for Mary. Burn, Mary, burn. Okay, so that's an example of both the bad and the good. Now, here's something that kind of falls in between. I don't know if I should refer to it as the ugly or not. Remember, I had a lot of trouble with the company out in BC, Dragonfly Quilting, trying to get that pattern, which I just showed you that I screwed up, for the Strong and Free quilt. And I was constantly trying to get them to give me a reply to my emails. I'd get nothing. And when I did get something, I wasn't getting any kind of answers. And it was just horrible customer service all the way around. I finally went on to Facebook. They have a Facebook page, and social media is powerful. So if you're having a problem with the company, see if they've got a Facebook page. Because what companies don't like is when something is put in the public forum for thousands upon thousands of people to see. They do react to that much quicker than they react to your phone call, to your messages, whatever. So I wrote a message on Dragonfly Quilting's Facebook page. I just outlined the situation, my experience with them. I did not bad mouth them. I just stated everything the way it happened. And my last sentence in it was basically, because of this, I will never be dealing with Dragonfly Quilting again. And I left it. Well, on Friday, everything seemed to happen on Friday, I get a call from BC, a call from the owner of Dragonfly Quilting. Very nice man. He was very apologetic. He wasn't aware that this problem had happened. Okay, there's the first red flag. He was not aware that there was a problem and a problem that had been ongoing. So obviously he's not in good communication with his employees, who might be the ones responsible for looking at those kind of things. Okay, that was the first red flag, but he stated this in a very nice way, so I didn't jump down his throat. Then he mentioned a whole bunch of other things. They were experiencing problems with this, that, and the other thing. And then he mentions how, made it sound like I was the first person to ever have a problem. And then he says that, and when there was any kind of problem at all, he liked to be right on top of it because, he was all about customer service and about their reputation, all this kind of stuff. And maybe all those things are true, but for me, my experience, I didn't find that was happening for me. And I told him that. But we had a lovely little discussion. It was very pleasant, very friendly. And he actually offered to give me a $25 store credit on my next purchase. And I very kindly declined his offer. Because I am not going to deal with them again. Because this was, as I told him, I said, this isn't the first time I've had this problem. I ordered something from you over a year ago. And a very similar thing happened. And I wouldn't have ordered anything this time if it hadn't been you were the only place I could find this pattern. That kind of... I got a very pregnant pause after I said all of that. And so I ended the conversation. So thank you very much. I do appreciate your call. That does say something about your customer service, blah, blah. But I am sorry. I don't need the $25 credit because I won't be ordering anything from you in the future. Bye-bye. So that was that. So that falls in between. But, that's an example of a little too much, a little too little too late. He should have been on top of this. He should have had employees that were trained to let him know immediately when there was this problem. He should not have given me excuses. And really, with the hell they put me through, a $25 credit on my next order is not going to shake it. Especially when I had to ask repeatedly for a full refund on the price of that pattern. And that this whole process took 7 weeks. So, yeah. So there you go. Now, here is an example, though, of excellent service. Okay? So, Monday night, Walter's out in the laundry room, and he looks down at the floor, and the floor is just concrete out there. It's not a finished floor. And he notices that there is some water running out from the bottom of our water tank and into the drain that's built into the floor. And it must have been doing this for a while, a very slow leak. It wasn't a flood or a gusher, but it was definitely a steady drip from the bottom of the water tank. And we're going, okay, we got a problem. Now, we deal with a company called Enercare, and they look after our furnace, our air conditioning, our water heater, and that kind of stuff. And we have various plans we pay monthly for service for these things. So, it doesn't cost us anything when they come out for it. It's costing us because we pay every month, right? They have a 24/7 number you can phone for service. So I phoned it. It's 10 o'clock Monday night. Past my bedtime, actually. And I give them a call. I got somebody on the line. Pleasant person. Told them what my problem is. And they said, okay, we'll send somebody out to look at that. And he's looking at his schedule. We can send you somebody out between 10 and 2 o'clock tomorrow. I said, that's great, thank you. Of course, he did try to sell me some more products, another insurance package, to look after our house wiring, our electrical. I let him do his thing because, he is told by the company he has to do this, and I understand that. And so I let him go through the sales pitch, and I said, well, I'm not interested at this time. Thank you very much for making me aware of this. That didn't stop him, though. So, he goes to the next tier because he's told and trained to do that. And he starts in, well, you have, and I go, and I figured just to shut him up, I'm going to tell him a little white lie. And my little white lie was this: I'm an electrician. Oh, he says, okay. And that was the end of the conversation, and we had the booking. So, around a little after 10 o'clock, in came the service guy. He looked at it, pulled off the front panel on the water tank, says, yep, you got there's a crack in the drain tube. He says, that's common. Our water tank's 10 years old. We had a new one replaced 10 years ago. And he says, yep, that's common. He says, yep, I can fix that, no problem. And he did. And he was gone. He was only here about half an hour, if that. And away he goes. And just before he goes, he shows me how much I saved on this call. I love that, how they put it, like you're saving something. If I hadn't had the insurance plan on this, it would have cost me $190 for that service call and repair. But because I had the service plan, it was a freebie. It was a savings of $190. Well, yeah, I pay that every month. And the number of times I've had to have them come out here and fix my stuff far exceeds $190 worth of things, or is under that. I never have them, but I pay. Let me get this right. What I pay every month over the process of a year amounts to more than $190. Okay, so yeah, big savings. But anyways, the guy that was here was very, very pleasant, knew what he was doing, very efficient. That is good service. Okay, even in spite of the fact that, the guy on the line was trying to sell me an additional service, but he wasn't giving me a hard sale. And as I said, I got rid of him very quickly. So yeah. So the bottom line of what I'm pissed off about, and this has gone on for quite a while today, and I realize that, is it is very difficult to get customer service these days because people don't care. And Walter has a theory about why people don't care, and this is based upon his own work experience. That basically these companies today treat their employees like crap. And so in turn, there is no employee loyalty to these companies. So these people are just interested in getting a paycheck and getting out and doing the bare minimum. And that's what they do. And can you really blame them? If your boss is treating you like crap, like you're a dog on a leash, being dragged through a park, then why should you treat these customers any better? You give them the bare minimum service, and the hell with it. And that is just really a sad reflection on our society and on us as human beings, how we treat other human beings. The days of excellent service are done. In fact, they've been done for quite a while. And it makes you angry because as a customer, when you can't get any satisfaction, you feel very frustrated, disappointed to say the least, and angry. And that's why you can walk into a store some days and you'll hear somebody yelling at somebody else in the store about something. Because really, I think the success of any business, no matter what kind of business it is, has to do with their customer service. If it's good, the customer's happy, they're going to do okay. I think some store owners, some company presidents, CEOs need to be reminded of that. They really do. Okay, let's move on to anything new that I bought. Nope, I bought some replacement printer cartridges and I bought some pens. Why did I buy pens? Did I need more pens? No, but in order to get free shipping on these cartridges, I needed to get my amount up a little bit higher, and they had these ballpoint pens on sale for a box, $1.95. In fact, I bought 3 boxes at that price. Figured they'll never go, they won't go bad. So I bought some blue ones, black ones, and red ones. And they're actually, I've been using one of them, try them out, and they're pretty good. For $1.95 for a box of 12, can't go wrong. So that's all I bought this week. Okay, so that takes me to the 3D corner and what I've been making. And yes, it's all about gnomes as usual. And let's go here. And there they are. Okay, so what's different about these gnomes? Well, the one that's white is all one color, except for his nose, and that nose I colored in with a magic marker, a Sharpie. But the other two were designed to be printed in parts. So the hat, the body, the feet, and the nose are all separate pieces. And so you can do them in different colors. And then you just glue them together. They all fit together, and you create these cute little multicolored gnomes. Don't look at them too closely. I got a little carried away with my glue gun. Okay, and the green nose on the guy in the center didn't come out quite right, but I was too lazy to print it again. I don't know what went wrong with that. But anyways, that's kind of cute. But of course, there's more gnomes. Here's what I've been making for the Ultimate Sewing, our quilt store's retreat at the end of the month, because Walter and I, as you know, are the program facilitators, and so we're going to be looking after a lot of the prizes and other things. So you can see on the edge there's a couple of trophies which I've made into all 3D printed. I printed them all, and I made them into pin cushions, and they are prizes for the scrap block challenge that we're going to conduct at the retreat. Basically, we're going to give everybody a bag of scraps. It's a good way for me to get rid of some of my scraps. And over the course of the 3 days of the retreat, they can design their own block using only those scraps. And they can't steal anybody else's scraps. And then we'll pin them up as they get them done. And people will vote on them. And the top 3 or 4 will win one of these trophies. Just something fun. Now you see the little thimble pin cushions below. I printed 50 of those. I've been printing them forever. And then I had to put the little pad in them for the pins and everything. That was a little bit of a tedious job. Like I said, I made 50. But they are going to be given to everybody that attends the retreat. A little welcome gift. Now you see in the cellophane bags. Yeah, I was going to say cellulite, but that's something different, isn't it? Cellophane bags. There are some more gnomes. These gnomes are on the front of those thimbles, and they're not pin cushions. They're little cups that people can use to hold, pens or clips or whatever on their sewing table or wherever they want to use it. And just to give them the idea of what you could use it for, I went to the dollar store and I got some packages of little markers, mini markers, and put those in and did them all up in these little bags, and they're going to be prizes. I think I made 9 of those. Yeah. And then you see the gnome with the little ledge thing in front of them. One of them I've got a sticky note pad in and my business card, and the other one just to show you what it looks like without that in it. Those are cell phone holders actually, but I stuck in a pad of sticky notes and that just for the presentation purposes of it, and they will be prizes. I think I made 6 of those. 2 red, 2 gold, and what's the other color I used? A purple? I think I used a purple. No, a copper color. And I'll put those 2 in a fancy little bag with a bow on it, and they'll be prizes as well. Now, Ultimate Sewing has people that give them prizes, companies. They're promotional kind of thing. And so there will be more, but Donna, the hostess with the mostest, who's really the chief staff person organizing all of this, she said they weren't being quite as generous this year for some reason with their prizes and whatnot. So I thought, well, you know, it's all about prizes when you go to a retreat. Everybody loves to get something. So I made a few extra things, you know, to supplement the other prizes that might be there as well. So yeah, been very, very busy using the 3D printer. And, you know, my 3D printer is running 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. But you can't hear any of this in the background right now because they are quiet. They were quiet yesterday too. I've run out of things to print. Well, not true. There's always things to print. But I had to do some looking around today and see what other little cutie things I can try printing on my 3D printer. Because you know, and I've said this many times, this is a toy for big boys. Toys for big boys. Okay, so that takes me to Blast from the Past trip video. This is part of my continuing series from our trip in 2018 to Australia. And this is Melbourne, day 5, part 1. This one I divided into 2 parts, so this is part 1. Okay, so this is Melbourne, day 5. And what are our plans today?
Well, I go to the State Library and I go to Victoria Market and then who knows what else.
And are we going to go near that electronics store?
Yeah, I said, well, we'll go there first.
Yeah, okay. Because the reason I want to go to an electronics store is, as you can tell on my videos that I've been posting, the sound is not very good. And the sound on a Apple phone, just when you're doing videos, it picks up all kinds of other noise in around the area. It doesn't seem to pick up your voice very well if you're outside. So I just kind of want to look. I doubt that I'm going to find anything, but I'm looking for a little lapel microphone that runs off of Bluetooth that I could wear and while I'm taking the videos and maybe have better sound. But we will see. So that's today's plan, so off we go. Here's a little art in the city, right on the medium. A major street. What it is, it's definitely interesting. Just some other parts of the city as we walk towards the state, or the Victoria State Library. That building's kind of interesting. Just another view of Melbourne. I don't think I was recording him now. And this is the State Library. So we're going up to the domed galleries.
Yeah, I don't know.
An observation thing, or?
I'm not sure. It's supposed to have one of the biggest reading rooms in the world.
Oh yeah.
There's something on every level. Like there's dome viewing balcony, changing face of Victoria exhibition, world of book exhibition.
This is level 6.
이거를 이러더만
Kind of reminds you of St. Paul's in London. to Library B if you didn't check out, of course, William Shakespeare. And on the 5th level, they have a display about, I guess, the history of books in Australia. Different things. Don't know what this is. Must be, looks like an old barrel or something. What's it say it is?
It's a water cask from the first settlement at Sullivan Cove, 1803.
It's a, I guess it's an inkstand or something. Inkstand and inkwell, yeah. Okay, blow your nose while
Oh, sorry.
looking at history here. Just blow your nose at that.
Sorry, I forgot you were recording.
Too late.
Yeah.
Can't really get the stereoscopic
No, you
effect,
can't.
but I thought I'd try. So it's a library and an art gallery, all combined into one. This is the Victoria Market. Oh yeah? Stalls are here. Where is it? Do you see it?
Yeah, that's where the carrot came from. There. See the little friend? Anybody waiting today?
And put a bag.
Yeah, actually they have.
Want a hat?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So this is Melbourne University. Right here. Busy little area. I saw those buildings down there would be associated with the university.
Someone is offered, they're trying to make
Okay, so we've stopped for lunch at a grilled burger place, which is a place we ate on the very first time we got into Sydney. Walter's gone into order, because you order at the counter and they give you a number and then they'll bring it all out for you. I'm not sure what district this is, but it's really cool. But there's a lot of restaurants, but a lot of them are pizza. It seems to be. And Walter has returned from ordering us burgers And got us some weird beer called Stone Wood Garden Ale, which you said does not have much alcohol in it.
3.5%.
How much?
3.5.
3.5. Oh my God, it's like drinking American. And that takes us to what's been happening this past week. Well, besides all of the problems with my technology and my water tank and all that stuff happening, it was a busy week. On this past Wednesday, we had our monthly Craft and Chat get together. And I've talked about it many times, so I know you know what Craft and Chat is, and that was fun. And I got a few things done that day as well. So that was great. On Friday, I was attending another online retreat that was sponsored by Mount Scrapmore, a friend of mine, Brenda, out west in Canada, along with some other people that I met for the first time that run YouTube channels. And she called it the International Sew Day. And that was fun. I was the only guy there. There weren't a lot of people, but the group that were there were fine. They did get a little crazy about man bashing. I kept my mouth shut, kept my head down, kept working, didn't get involved in that conversation because, you know, when you're one man amongst a whole group of women, don't open your mouth because that's death. And a smart man knows that. And I can consider myself a smart man. But it was a lot of fun too. So, and I got a lot done there. Then on Friday night, we had the icebreaker cocktail party for the Idiot Quilter retreat. And that was fun. Walter and I really enjoyed ourselves. I don't know, maybe it was the wine I was drinking. I drank a lot. But everybody seemed to have a good time. We played a couple of games. We got to know each other a little bit. And it truly did, I think, serve the purpose that I put it there for. It was to break the ice for the next day. And so the next day was the retreat. That was busy. I had over 40 people there. Excellent guest speakers. And everybody just, it was phenomenal. Now for me at my end, which people couldn't see, I had like 2 computers and an iPad going. Of course, it was all done by Zoom. And I did run into a technical difficulty, which is one of the things I'm going to bring up to my buddy Jim from Bell today. My technology was going down. Now, the rest of the people didn't really know that because of the way things were set up. They were still there, but I would disappear. But luckily, I had my iPad connected into Zoom as well, so I could just very easily, I just switched to the iPad when the other one was going down as I worked on it. And I'm still not sure what the problem is, and that's something I have to discuss with my buddy Jim. But anyways, it was great. I drank a lot of coffee. I usually only have 2 of these a day, usually in the morning. Don't drink any more during the day. That day, I think I had 6 coffees throughout the day. And I did get the pin cushions that I showed you earlier done, but there's a lot of things you do in the background to keep things running smoothly. And it did run smoothly, I think. And people said they enjoyed the day. And that made me very happy because that was what the whole point was. My speakers, as I've already mentioned, were excellent. And I had, of course, Kate Jackson from The Last Homely House. It's a UK YouTube channel. Excellent. I'm sure many of you have heard of her or of her YouTube channel. If you have not, go into Google, do a search for The Last Homely House, and you will find it. And you will fall in love with Kate. Because I certainly have. She is a wonderful person. So wonderful. I'm telling you, if I get a chance to go back to England, I'm going to look her up. I'll let her know in advance. I want to come and I want to do tea with her or lunch or something because she's just a wonderful person. She gave a wonderful presentation. It was in the form of an interview. She graciously donated a prize as well, which was great. And I recorded the interview with her permission, and I am posting it probably later today here on YouTube, and I'll mention it again tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. So do check it out once it goes up because it was great. So I was very pleased with the way the retreat ran. And I do have a mailing list for the next one based upon the people who attended this retreat. But if you'd like to be on that mailing list, please drop me a line. My email is in the show notes, and I will add you to the mailing list. The next retreat will not be until the fall, early fall, probably tail end of September, maybe the first week of October, something like that. That's when it'll happen, but there'll be plenty of warning and details about it well before that whatever the actual date will be for that retreat. But if you'd like to get that information in advance, just let me know that you want to be part of the mailing list and I will put you on. And the same goes with Craft and Chat. If you want to be on that mailing list, that happens the first Wednesday of every month, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until approximately 4 p.m. It's just about 3 hours of that kind of thing. So I have 2 mailing lists for those. If you'd like to be on both of them or one or the other, let me know and I'll put you on. Okay, and then on Sunday, I had my monthly art journal group meeting by Zoom, and that was great. Those ladies are so great, so creative. And in fact, one of the ladies from that art journal group was one of my guest presenters, and she talked about 3-dimensional paper creations that she makes, and they're absolutely gorgeous, just gorgeous. And I know that although my retreat is mostly made up of quilters, I don't limit it to that. It can be anybody who's a maker of anything can join in. And I know that, often quilters too have other interests as well. They might be scrapbookers, they might be knitters, they might be painters, whatever. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I had a sort of a variety of topics amongst my presenters for the retreat. And Pat was my paper crafter. I had Adrienne Bennett, who you may remember back last fall or so. I did an interview with Adrienne. She is a milliner, a Mad Hatter kind of thing. She designs and makes hats, beautiful hats and fascinators. And she talked about the whole process of that and how she comes up with her designs and showed us some of her wonderful creations as well. And I think this may turn on a few of the ladies to get back into wearing hats. I think ladies' hats are wonderful. It's too bad you don't see them that often anymore for it, because I think they are very attractive and they are works of art. And Adrienne definitely talked about the artistic elements of hat making. So, that was really good too. And then I picked on a couple of other people that are from my art journaling group, Joanne and Gina, to show some of their creations, because they are both really talented makers as well. And there were a lot of really great comments that came back as feedback to all these presentations that one made me very happy that people got something out of them, and I'm sure also were well appreciated by the presenters as well, because they did this out of the goodness of their hearts for me, because I can't pay them, because I don't charge anything for the retreat at all. It's a freebie. And so they have my undying gratitude for what they did, and they did it so well. So thank you to all of you who were presenters. Okay, so what's been happening this week besides that? Well, that was a busy week, as you can tell. I'm still a little tired from it all, but it's a good tired, for all those things. Now, we had a scare earlier this week as well. It's COVID. Walter went to a clinic on Tuesday. He had a little problem. His doctor wanted him to see a specialist about. Nothing major, nothing. Walter's absolutely fine, so not to worry about it. But the next day, he got a call from that clinic saying that 2 people who had been at the clinic had tested positive for COVID. Now, this is what is kind of pissing us off, was that, first of all, Walter was wearing a mask, so was everybody at the clinic, but they weren't doing any screening whatsoever. The only screening was when Walter made the appointment for the clinic, was at that time they did the standard questions they ask about your exposure to COVID or your symptoms and things like that. That was it. But when you walked into the place, there was nobody there screening, checking, asking you those questions again or anything. So Walter is a little bit of a hypochondriac, so he immediately panicked. Now, neither one of us were showing any symptoms of COVID. He got online, went to our local hospital, and booked a PCR test. He went in for the test, and he said, boy, that was quite a test. Because we've had the rapid tests before where they stick the thing up your nose, but those ones, they didn't stick them up very far. He said this thing went right up and touched his brain pretty much. He said it was extremely uncomfortable. So then we had to wait for the results. Well, on Saturday, the results came through, and Walter came downstairs and gave me a little sticky note with the news that he tested negative. So that was a relief. We were happy about that. So that means I don't need to go and be tested either, because I really don't want someone sticking something up my nose with it. And the other thing about these tests anyways, at least here in our province, so what? You get a test. We've been triple vaxxed. I guess if I got the symptoms, if I was showing the symptoms or anything like that, I would quarantine myself for sure with that. But what's the test going to tell me? Yeah, you've got COVID. They don't then hand you a pill and say, here, this cures it or anything like that. So, I guess the idea is so you will quarantine yourself and not spread it. I get that. And I would definitely do that. But really, as I said to Walter, you're not showing any symptoms. We're fine. Do you want to put yourself through that hell? And you have to qualify for the PCR test here in Ontario now. You just don't automatically get it. They can't keep up. So they basically, unless you are definitely showing symptoms of COVID and this kind of thing. So Walter didn't figure he would, even after he filled out the little questionnaire to see if he could get an appointment for the test, he figured he'd be rejected. But he wasn't. And he figures, well, maybe it's because of our age, because we're over 60. That might have been why. But anyways, it was good news. So, he was negative and life goes on. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So what else is coming up? Well, I am going to start a class. It's online. I'm not running it. It's being run by Donna, the hostess with the mostest from Ultimate Sewing. It's a block of the month, and it's all going to be done by Zoom. And actually, later this morning, I have a Zoom meeting with Donna because I'm going to help her out a little bit with the technology, hopefully, because she's never done this kind of thing before. So we'll be talking about that today, and I'm really kind of excited about doing this class. I've paid for my class. I haven't got the materials yet. I guess the first Zoom meeting is to talk about the whole project and letting us know what we need for it. And it's going to happen over once a month for the next year, I guess, or close thereof. So that's nice. That kind of breaks up the month a little bit. Something to look forward to. Okay, so what else? Anything else coming up? Nope, not this week. I got to get at that quilt and rip it all apart again and sew it up some more. So that's my plan for the rest of today. And I hope you have a good week. And thanks for joining me today. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay creative, and have a good one. Bye for now.